Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
If you're innocent, why are you taking the 5th Amendment?
What about it, MAGA? You gonna take this? Jeffrey Epstein takes the 5th about Donald Trump, and he won't release the Epstein files. He thinks you're sheep. Stupid sheep. This is it. This is the moment you have to decide if hiding the secrets of a giant pedophile criminal enterprise is really who you are. Demand the release of the Epstein files. Or be a sheep. Your choice, MAGA.
The Epstein files.
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Breaking news tonight, an Epstein bombshell. A shadowy figure dressed as an inmate is spotted climbing the stairs to Epstein's cell. What? And we're just getting 11 new hours of video? Where's that video been all this time?
The CBS News investigation raising some new questions about this video. You will recall Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell in 2019, and it was ruled a suicide. Recently, the Justice Department released security video from the jail. One official called it raw footage, but we looked into it.
This was the nearly 11-hour video agents reviewed when they investigated the death of convicted child predator Jeffrey Epstein. Government officials say it's proof that no one entered his cell tier. Malfunctioning equipment meant only one camera recorded the general area, and that camera captured part of the common area, including the officer's station and a sliver of the staircase leading to Epstein's cell. CBS News has reviewed the tape, and this is what it shows. The primary entrance is here. The pathway from the entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera, leaving ample room for someone to enter unseen. This is the last time Epstein is believed to have been seen on camera, but we don't see him walking up the stairs to his cell. Bongino also said none of this video was doctored. It was the original, raw footage from the camera. But a review by multiple video forensic experts found several indications this may not be raw footage. For example, at 11:21 p.m., a cursor appears briefly, indicating the video may have actually been a recording of a computer screen. Experts told CBS News the video's metadata, which tracks how a file is created and changed, shows it's made from 2 clips edited together. Then, at 11:58 p.m., the video suddenly jumps to midnight, and the aspect ratio shifts. Here's U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
There was a minute that was off the counter, and what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999, so every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing, so we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
But a government source familiar with the probe told CBS News the FBI and other agencies are in possession of a copy of the video that records with no interruption.
These inconsistencies, while not contradicting the conclusion Epstein died by suicide, do introduce questions that the government so far has declined to answer. The Department of Justice, Adriana, has not responded to our request for comment.
I'm sure many people wanted him dead. He had a lot of information on a lot of people, a lot of blackmail, videos and pictures.
If you look here, the limestone, inside the house, behind like a space like that, they have cameras, and they have them everywhere. Jeffrey took me into a room which is a little bit back further than this window. And it's leaded, and it's leaded, and it's leaded. And it had all the computers and all these monitors, like the old-fashioned TV monitors, stacked.
I'm looking at the monitors, and I'm like, that's my room. That's the massage room. That's my shower. That's my toilet. That's everyone else's toilet in the house. That's everyone else's shower in the house. That's every single corner of that house was monitored. He was watching everybody all the time. This was a blackmail scheme. All those powerful people abusing underage girls. When he told me people owe me favors and I will never get caught, I can get away with things, he meant it.
I think that he would take a lot of people down. This wasn't just a ring for Jeffrey Epstein. This was an international sex trafficking ring. He is a very small piece in a huge network.
Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile that it came into enormous wealth by very mysterious circumstances and had connections across the globe to very, very powerful people. And he was murdered right before it was all about to blow up. And now there supposedly are no files that the American people can see to explain all of that.
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, do I think that there's an actual list? No, I don't think that there's an actual list. I don't think that he was that stupid. But do I think that what they do have implicates him? Yeah, I think so. You know, I mean, Epstein introduced Melania to Trump. The connections are like so wide and deep. Anyway, why do we think they don't want the files released? I don't know. I think John, you know, that thing that John Hallman says is like a long time ago, I think is the most accurate kind of assessment of them, which is everything is projection or confession. Everything. So when he puts out that tweet and he says, Epstein now is the Russia hoax or the Hunter Biden laptop.
The laptop from hell, which the Democrats swore came from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom.
Like, I wonder if it works. Do you know what I mean? When he says to his followers, like, you're no supporter of mine if you keep talking about Epstein.
Yeah. What do you think was in the files?
You remember they had actually conscripted 1,000 FBI agents to be working around the clock 24 hours going through more than 100,000 of these Epstein documents in the files, and apparently told them to flag any mentions or appearances or pictures of Donald Trump. Anything that appears there of Donald Trump, they're supposed to flag it. Well, what were they supposed to do after they flag it? And we also heard separately, this was a couple weeks ago, that the FBI Director Kash Patel was using lie detector tests against the FBI agents. And I wonder whether, these two things are related to each other. In other words, somebody finds something relating to Donald Trump, they turn it over. Are they then asked, are you loyal to Donald Trump? Will you do what we ask you to do? Are you going to turn this over to anybody else? And, this might be one of the most massive cover-ups in the history of the United States unfolding before our very eyes.
He is charming. He is able to convince people. So he tells everybody what they want to hear.
So how do you know this?
That was close to straight.
He has a sense of humor. He can be funny.
He's great. His ability to sell. It's very much like Clinton. Both Bill and Donald have the ability to go over to a fat, ugly woman, say, you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So you probably know he had a scalp reduction. Because he had the same male pattern movement that we all have. He's not a horrible human being. He does nasty things to his best friends' wives. Anyone who first tries to gain your trust and then uses it to do bad things. That's how it goes.
Here's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, traveling back from Scotland on Air Force One, President Trump telling reporters sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, quote, took people who worked for me at his Mar-a-Lago resort, acknowledging some of them were young women.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. They work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him. I didn't like, when they steal people, I don't like it.
Reporters then asking about those workers.
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women? What did they do?
In the spa.
In the spa?
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told them, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine. And then not too long after that, he did it again. And I said, out of here.
Trump then asked if one of those young women was Virginia Giuffre, who claimed Epstein's companion Ghislaine Maxwell recruited her at Trump's spa when she was just 16, taking her away from Mar-a-Lago and sex trafficking her to Epstein, and later allegedly to Britain's Prince Andrew. Maxwell denies that happened. Giuffre later sued Prince Andrew for sexual assault. He consistently denied her claims, but later settled the case without admitting wrongdoing. She died by suicide earlier this year.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
Last week, Maxwell spent 9 hours meeting with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who is President Trump's personal attorney. She is currently serving 20 years in prison. The president has not ruled out pardoning her, saying, I'm allowed to do it.
I'm going to throw out some information here and do with it what you will. You remember Bill Barr, Attorney General, during his first term, not to be confused with Bill Burr. I get the names mixed up sometimes. Before Bill Barr's Attorney General days, he was with the CIA. Just kind of tuck that away. Bill Barr's father was a man named Donald Barr, who was the headmaster at a very prestigious school called the Dalton School. He wrote a book. It involved oligarchs and, let's just say, forcible mistreatment of minors. Imagine being a parent who's paying $67,000 a year and the headmaster comes out with this book. Guess who Donald Barr hired to be a math professor? No teaching experience whatsoever, nor a degree in math. But at 21 years old, he's given this position at a prestigious school. He didn't stay there long because he got kind of creepy on the young women. He'd go to parties with them and there were complaints. And he moved on to what, you may ask? Junior assistant to a trader. Within 4 years, was a partner at that firm. 4 years. That lasted about a year because of an SEC violation. So what did he do then? He moved to consulting work. Immediately, he had billionaires and governments that hired him. 2006, Epstein was charged with one of the charges involved 12-year-old triplet girls being flown in for his birthday party. Allegedly, these girls and others were brought in by a guy named Jean-Luc Bromel, was a scout or something for Epstein's modeling company called MC2. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida was a guy named Alexander Acosta. He offered Epstein this sweetheart deal that was insane. Leave for 12 hours a day, take walks on the beaches. When he was released on house arrest, house wasn't defined, so he could take jets to Manhattan. Leslie Wexner, Victoria's Secret guy, Abercrombie guy. Didn't take long for complaints to surface that Epstein was posing as a Victoria's Secret model recruiter. Didn't matter, Wexner still gave him control over all his money. When Trump nominated Acosta for the Secretary of Labor position, because of course he did, Acosta was grilled about this sweetheart deal. He went on record saying that he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence, and that the entire issue was above his pay grade. In the 80s, Epstein frequently used a fake passport. An Australian passport said that he was a resident of Saudi Arabia. He used it to go to the UK, Spain, and Saudi Arabia.
why do they always tell the truth only in private? Why do they not say the quiet part publicly? But maybe they say it privately. Let me take you back to the month of April. This is April 28th in a restaurant in Washington, D.C. This is the Attorney General of the United States talking to someone. They recorded it, sent it to us, talking about tens of thousands of videos.
Do you know when the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been...
Okay.
So,
any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tens and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
Now, we sent the Attorney General an email requesting comment. This is on May the 1st. A couple days after the 28th, we quoted what she had said, tens of thousands of videos of little kids, not something that's been reported publicly. After we sent the email, suddenly we saw this at the White House.
James Comer said yesterday that all the Epstein files are missing. Some of them we still haven't heard from you.
No, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
It seemed to mirror quite identically what we had captured just 9 days prior.
Tens and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
Something didn't seem to add up. It raised questions. The questions for me and my team was, and this is not an easy story for us to publish, is why share that with someone at a restaurant but not share it with the American people first? We also saw this on Joe Rogan.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
And is there video from the island?
Not of what you want.
But is there footage?
If there was footage of anyone doing anything else, we would have opened a case.
There are tens and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids.
Something doesn't seem to be adding up. Now, the Department of Justice issued this statement, which you probably all saw this week. There's no client list. There's no evidence of any blackmail. And there's no evidence that could predicate an investigation against anybody else. There's no story. There's no evidence. Now listen, as a reporter, as a journalist, I can always tell you, there's always a story. It's just a question of to what degree.
I'm not blaming the FBI director, Kash Patel, or the deputy director, Dan Bongino. I think that layer beneath them, that's part of what we like to call the deep state, has taken this bull by the horns, and they've probably destroyed information. Look at what the CIA did in 1975 after Congress ordered that it release all of its files related to an operation called MKUltra. The director of the CIA went back to headquarters and ordered everything to be destroyed. And in the end, only about 20% of the documents survived. We're still learning about the FBI's operations against Martin Luther King 55 years after the fact. So now we're supposed to believe that everybody's telling the truth, that there were no files, there were no dossiers? I'm sorry, I just don't buy it because I know how these people operate.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your Attorney General told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen of that?
No, it's not the Attorney General. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters and Comey before him. And it's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier. That turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running.